This episode is brought to you by Shopify. Forget the frustration of picking commerce platforms when you switch your business to Shopify, the global commerce platform that supercharges your selling wherever you sell. With Shopify, you'll harness the same intuitive features, trusted apps, and powerful analytics used by the world's leading brands. Sign up today for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/tech, all lowercase. That's shopify.com/tech.
This episode is brought to you by Global X. Since 2008, Global X ETFs has been committed to empowering investors with unexplored, intelligent solutions. Global X specializes in exchange-traded funds that offer exposure to the artificial intelligence ecosystem, including themes like data centers, robotics, semiconductors, and cloud computing. To learn more about Global X's entire suite of ETFs, from covered calls, fixed income, emerging markets, and more, visit globalxetfs.com.
This is Optimal Work Daily. Your business failed, but did you really try or did you just give up? By Steve Chou of mywifequitherjob.com. Oh yeah, I tried being an entrepreneur a few years back, but it was just too hard. I tried the whole blogging thing, but couldn't get it off the ground. I tried selling online, but every product I could think of had too much competition. I don't know why, but lately I've become increasingly sensitive to people complaining about how things are just too difficult. Whenever I hear statements like the one I just read, I can't help but think to myself, how hard did you really try? How much time and effort did you actually spend? Did you just give up after encountering the first obstacle? Call me a skeptic, but I honestly believe that 90% of the time people complain about their failures and give up because they don't really give things a chance. Case in point. Quote, "Oh yeah, I tried being an entrepreneur a few years back, but it never went anywhere." End quote. When I challenged the acquaintance of mine who made this statement, he showed me his website and claimed that he spent over 6 months working on his online store but never sold a single thing. Wow, a whole 6 months, huh? When I went to look at his website, I was appalled. Not only did his online store look like complete and utter but it appeared as though he spent little or no effort writing his product copy or marketing his store. To make matters worse, his product photos were all pixelated and distorted. It was no wonder that he never sold a single thing. What's strange is that I always thought of this person as an intelligent individual. Was this garbage of a website really the result of his best efforts? Quote, "I tried the whole blogging thing but couldn't get it off the ground." End quote. Newbie bloggers are notorious for giving up, so I naturally asked to see the so-called blog that my friend could not get off the ground. Turns out that he only had like 10 blog entries and he was using the default WordPress theme. Not only that, but his About and Contact page still had the WordPress defaults. Given the state of his blog, how could he possibly have considered this trying? Quote, "I tried learning how to program PHP, but I never could get the hang of it." End quote. Programming can sometimes be difficult to master, so when one of my acquaintances made that statement, I was sincerely willing to help him out and answer whatever programming questions he had. I started out by asking him some very basic questions on where he got stuck, and tried to introduce him to some of the simpler concepts of programming. Turns out that he didn't understand a single thing that I was talking about. When I asked him how he tried to learn how to program, he told me that he taught himself PHP by looking at some open source PHP code. What? You can't just learn a language by looking at some arbitrary code. Why didn't he pick up a book and start with the basics? How could he possibly call this trying to learn the language? So what does it mean to try? I can't even begin to tell you how many people I've encountered who claim to have tried something but never put out their best efforts. These people don't give their all, and when they get stuck, they immediately write things off. In fact, the people that complain the most are the ones who give up before even trying. They bitch and moan about external factors when in fact they themselves are to blame for failing. So if trying is more than just going through the motions, what exactly does it mean to try? Trying is not quitting at the first obstacle. You can't really claim to have tried something until you've overcome at least a few major obstacles. Most people who don't try give up at the first sign of danger. They hit their first obstacle like a brick wall and then start making excuses. Trying is sticking with something even though you feel like total crap. Those who have read my story know that our online store didn't make very many sales during the first few months of operation, and we contemplated closing up shop. No one could find our store online, and at the time, we had no answers on how to increase website traffic. But thankfully, we racked our brains and eventually found creative ways to attract business. Nothing is ever completely smooth. To try is to overcome. Trying takes time. Sometimes trying and succeeding simply takes time. Sometimes nothing you can do will accelerate progress, and you just need to be patient. If you give up too early, you might miss out on potential gains that are right around the corner. With our online store, getting indexed in Google and waiting for our reputation to spread via word of mouth was simply a waiting game. Nothing we could have done could have sped things up. Persistence was the key. What's strange was that success came on like a switch towards the middle of our first year. All of a sudden, we were getting lots of organic traffic and business really took off. If we didn't stick around long enough, we would have missed out. Trying is waiting for things to sink in. When you are trying to learn something completely new and foreign, certain things may be difficult to comprehend at first glance. The human brain works in strange ways, and it sometimes requires time for concepts to sink in. If you give up before allowing things to settle in your brain, you are not giving yourself a fair chance. For example, when I first started looking at the source code for some of the open source shopping carts out there, my brain was completely frazzled. Reading and understanding someone else's code was not only difficult, but I could barely retain anything because there was too much information to absorb at one time. But I stuck with it, and over a period of several months, things gradually began to stick. No matter how smart you are, it still takes time to learn, absorb, and digest new things. Have I always tried? I always find it interesting to look back on some of the failed projects that I've worked on in the past. Sometimes I question whether I gave it my all. Sometimes I question whether I put my complete heart into it. Sometimes I wonder whether things would be different now if I simply tried again. If you have a free moment, you may want to take some time and reflect upon your past as well as revisit some old projects. Sometimes all it takes is a newfound perspective in order to revive an old passion. Who knows? It might be worth giving things another try. You just listened to the post titled, "Your Business Failed, but Did You Really Try or Did You Just Give Up?" by Steve Chou of mywifequitherjob.com. This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. We're all marveled at how quickly kids learn and that sense of wonderment they have while doing it. But as adults, sometimes we lose that curiosity. Well, if there's something you've been wanting to learn, know that therapy can help you reconnect with your sense of wonder, because your back-to-school era can come at any age. And make no mistake, therapy is for everyone. Whether or not you've been through significant trauma, therapy can be a great tool for setting boundaries, learning new skills, and ultimately becoming the best version of yourself. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. Rediscover your curiosity with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/workdaily today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/workdaily. When it comes to hiring, don't go searching for the one. Just meet your match with Indeed. Indeed is your matching and hiring platform with over 350 million global monthly visitors and a matching engine that helps you find quality candidates fast. Ditch the busy work. Use Indeed for scheduling, screening, and messaging. 93% of employers agree. Indeed delivers the highest quality matches compared to other job sites. One of the things I love about Indeed is that it filters out incompatible applicants. So when you're hiring, the process is much faster and you only have to consider applicants that are already likely to be a great fit. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/startup. So just go to Indeed.com/startup right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/startup. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed. I want to thank our author today, Steve Chou. When his wife became pregnant and she planned to stay home with the baby, they knew that they would need to find more income. So they started a little online store called Bumblebee Linens. In just 1 year, they were able to replace his wife's salary of $100K per year, and they started My Wife Quit Her Job to document all of it, including income reports. As of 2016, Steve said that he expected to have the website's first 7-figure year, which is obviously huge. But he didn't stop there. He started the My Wife Quit Her Job podcast, and he even held his very first e-commerce conference called the Sellers Summit. So clearly he has accomplished a ton. And we thank Steve for letting us share his work. And a reminder, you can come by mywifequitherjob.com for a lot more. All right, that's going to do it for today. Thank you so much for being here, and I will see you back here tomorrow where your optimal life awaits.